The rain didn't just fall that night in Grixton City. It slammed the ground like the sky was mad at the world. Cars splashed dirty water onto sidewalks, horns blared, neon signs flickered, and in the middle of all that chaos, a 17-year-old girl named Maya sat in the corner of her stepmother's tiny, cracked apartment. Maya wasn't the type to argue or fight back. She was soft-spoken, the kind of girl who said sorry even when someone else stepped on her foot. Since her father's death, life had been one long punishment. Her stepmother, Carmen, treated her like an unwanted package that got delivered to the wrong address. Carmen's own daughter, Sasha, on the other hand, walked around like a spoiled princess, new clothes, expensive perfumes, loud mouth, and zero respect. That night, Carmen was in one of her moods. You'd think thunder was competing with her voice. "You eat my food, sleep under my roof, and you give me nothing back!" she shouted, her face twisted with disgust. Sasha leaned against the doorframe, chewing gum, smirking like she was watching a comedy show. "Yeah, Mom, she's basically a parasite," Sasha added with a laugh. Carmen didn't need encouragement. She grabbed Maya's thin arm and yanked her off the couch. "Get out! You don't belong here. Go beg on the streets where losers like you belong." Before Maya could process it, she was shoved out into the storm. The apartment door slammed shut with the finality of a judge's gavel. No bag, no cash, no umbrella, nothing. Just rain soaking her through, slippers slapping the wet pavement, and a heart that already felt bruised long before that night. She didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because she was used to hurt. Crying was wasted energy when no one cared. But deep inside, under all that misery, a tiny voice whispered, "This is not the end. Watch me." By morning, Maya was still walking. Her legs felt like they were about to snap off. Her clothes clung to her like a wet rag, and her cheap slippers were half dead from dragging through the streets. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't go back. Hours later, she stumbled into downtown Meriton, a city that smelled like fried chicken, cigarette smoke, and crushed dreams. Skyscrapers towered above her like judgmental giants, and people rushed past her as if she were invisible. Her stomach growled so loud she almost laughed. Great, now I'm homeless and a walking drum set. She wandered into a side alley where the stench of garbage battled the aroma of street food. That's where she spotted it, an old, busted delivery cart with one wheel missing. Not exactly a five-star hotel, but hey, at least the rent was free. Maya crawled under it, hugged herself tight, and tried to sleep. But between the rats running a marathon nearby and her own body shaking like a leaf, rest wasn't happening. Tears rolled down her face quietly. "Why do they hate me so much? What did I even do?" she whispered into the night. That's when she heard a voice, soft, almost too gentle for a city like Meriton. "Child, are you all right?" Startled, Maya looked up. Standing there was an old man with warm, crinkled eyes and a crooked smile. His shirt had more patches than fabric, and he smelled faintly of roasted corn. "Don't be scared," he said. "My name's Uncle Benji. I sell food at the corner. Come sit by my stall." Too tired to argue, Maya followed. Uncle Benji handed her a small wooden stool and wrapped a warm flatbread in paper, passing it to her like it was treasure. "Eat, child. Food before tears, strength before sorrow." Maya's hands shook as she took the bread. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. Uncle Benji placed an old but clean blanket over her shoulders. "I've seen this city chew people up and spit them out. Some never rise again. But I've also seen the broken turn into giants. Don't let their lies stick to your soul, eh? You're not worthless. Not even close." Maya stared at him wide-eyed. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not even her own father. That night, wrapped in his blanket under the buzzing streetlight, she wasn't safe, but she wasn't completely alone either. Something shifted inside her. A tiny spark flickered. For the first time in forever, she dared to whisper to herself, "Maybe I'm not finished yet." The next morning, Meriton City was alive and loud. Vendors screamed prices, buses honked like angry elephants, and kids chased each other across sidewalks. Amid all that noise, Maya sat by Uncle Benji's stall, knees pulled to her chest, lost in thought. And then, without even realizing it, she began to hum. It was a soft tune, one her late mother used to sing when the world wasn't so cruel. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried something raw, sadness, love, memory, something that grabbed strangers by the heart and refused to let go. People slowed down, heads turned. For a second, the city actually paused. That's when Zara Collins walked by. Zara wasn't your average passerby. She was the bossy, sharp-heeled executive director of Meriton National TV, the kind of woman who chewed up producers for breakfast and fired interns before lunch. She lived for fast cars, champagne meetings, and the spotlight. But the moment that melody brushed her ears, her heels slowed. She stopped. Her chest tightened. Who sings like this in the gutter? She followed the sound like someone hypnotized. And there, on the pavement beside a basket of roasted corn, sat a skinny girl in torn clothes with tangled hair, humming like her soul was spilling out. Zara froze. What is this voice? She whispered to herself. Uncle Benji noticed Zara staring. She's not a beggar, he said gently. She's just a girl I've tried to break, but listen closely. She's got something rare. Zara's pulse raced. This is the thing you can't buy, can't teach, pure magic. She stepped closer. What's her name? Maya, Uncle Benji replied. She showed up with nothing but sadness in her eyes, but when she sings, even the city holds its breath. Zara crouched down, eye level with Maya. Maya, she said softly. Startled, Maya snapped her eyes open and flinched at the sight of the elegant stranger. She was ready to run. Don't be scared, Zara said gently. I just want to ask you something. Maya frowned, clutching the blanket tight. Would you sing that song again? Zara asked, her voice unusually soft for a woman used to yelling orders. Maya hesitated. I don't sing for people. It was just my mother's song. Then sing it for her, Zara urged. Sing like she's listening. Maya lowered her eyes, drew in a shaky breath, and began to sing, this time with words. The lullaby floated through powerful, pulling tears from eyes that didn't even know they could still cry. The noisy street turned silent. Even the honking taxis seemed to hush. When the last note faded, Zara stood up slowly, her heart pounding. She looked at Maya as if she was staring at a diamond hidden in the dirt. Come with me, Zara said, her voice firm but kind. I don't know where this will lead, but one thing is clear. This world needs to hear you. Maya blinked, stunned. Less than 24 hours ago, she was sleeping under a broken cart, unwanted and unloved. And now a stranger in heels was offering her a chance at something she'd never dared dream of. She didn't understand it. But deep inside, the spark burned brighter. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is my beginning. The next morning didn't feel real to Maya. If someone had pinched her, she might have slapped them. She stood frozen in front of the glass tower of Meriton National TV, staring at it like it was a castle that could vanish if she blinked. Automatic doors slid open and closed as people rushed in, their shoes clicking like they had urgent business saving the world. Shiny suits, flawless hair, expensive perfumes. Maya felt like a walking stain in comparison. Her heart whispered, "What are you doing here? Go back under that cart. This isn't your world." But then she felt a hand on her shoulder. Zara Collins stood beside her, calm, stylish, clipboard in hand, coat flowing like she owned gravity itself. Relax, she said in her rich, boss-lady voice. Don't try to impress them with your hair or shoes. Let them hear the voice. That's all that matters. Easier said than done. Maya looked down at her borrowed shoes, slightly scuffed, 2 sizes too big, donated by one of the studio cleaners who had whispered, "Go make us proud." Her plain dress wasn't flattering. Her hair was messy even after Uncle Benji's heroic attempt at oil and water styling. She looked like she had crash-landed in the wrong building. But beneath the fear something burned. Hope. A tiny flame she refused to let Carmen and Sasha snuff out. Inside, the studio lights were like interrogation lamps. Judges lounged in their seats, scrolling through phones, whispering, clearly unimpressed. Another wannabe. Another dreamer. They had seen hundreds. Why should this girl in thrift store fashion be any different? Maya's hands trembled as she stepped onto the stage. She swallowed, eyes darting across the faces that didn't care. For a split second she thought about running. Then she closed her eyes, and in the darkness she saw her mother, the only person who had ever held her close and sung her fears away. That memory lit something in her chest. When she opened her mouth, the first note floated out, shaky but pure. Then came the melody. Her voice wasn't perfect, it wasn't trained, but it was raw, real. Every night on the cold floor, every insult, every tear she had swallowed instead of crying, it all poured out, Phones were lowered, pens stopped scribbling. Even the cameraman leaned in like the lens itself didn't want to miss a drop. By the time she hit the last note, the silence was so heavy you could hear hearts beating. And then, clapping. Soft at first, then louder. A wave of applause crashing over the room. Maya stood frozen. She had never heard people clap for her. She had only ever been clapped at, by Carmen's angry palms on her face. Zara was smiling from ear to ear, like a proud general watching her secret weapon fire. One judge leaned forward, mic in hand. "Young lady, where have you been hiding?" Maya looked down at her clownish shoes and whispered, "I wasn't hiding. I was just trying to survive." Boom. The room fell in love with her. Not just her voice, but her honesty, her scars, her soul. That night, she wasn't the girl who slept under a broken cart. She was the girl who silenced an entire studio. The next morning, Meriton didn't wake up to rain. It woke up to a storm. Not thunder, not lightning, a viral storm. It started with a 2-minute clip. Maya, eyes closed, voice soaring, stage lights glowing like a halo. Someone in the audience had filmed it and posted online with the caption, "This girl just silenced an entire studio. Who is she?" By sunrise, the clip had spread like spilled coffee on a white shirt. Thousands of shares, thousands of comments. By lunch, millions. TV stations replayed it. Radio hosts slotted her voice between hit songs. News anchors called her the mystery voice. Every headline screamed from street to star. Unknown girl leaves judges speechless. Maya, the voice that heals. In cafes, taxis, schools, office lunchrooms, people were talking. Kids hummed her lullaby on playgrounds. Women wiped tears watching the replay. Even tough guys who swore they hated music muttered, "Damn, that hit different." This wasn't just entertainment. This was healing. A song that reminded everyone of the pain they carried quietly. And Maya? She had no clue. She sat in a guest room the studio gave her, sipping tea like a fragile bird, still in disbelief. No phone, no mirror, no idea her face had exploded across the nation. That's when Zara stormed in, phone in hand, practically glowing. "Maya, you don't get it. You've gone viral. Everyone is talking about you. You're on every channel, every radio, every feed. People are calling you the soul of Meriton. Look." She shoved the phone at Maya, scrolling through post after post. Comments rained in. "I cried listening to her. Goosebumps." She's not just a singer. She's a miracle. Maya stared at her own face glowing back at her from the screen. "Me? That's me? They really see me," she whispered, stunned. Zara put a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, baby girl. For the first time the world sees you, and they don't just hear your voice, they feel your heart." Across the city, people scrambled to learn more. Journalists begged for interviews. Music producers fought like wild dogs for a contract. Magazine editors wanted her face on every cover. But Maya's thoughts went elsewhere. Would Mama be proud of me? Would she hear my voice from the sky? Meanwhile, at a tiny food stall, Uncle Benji stared at the news on his old TV. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he whispered, "I knew it. That girl's voice was too big for the streets." And then, back in Grixton City, a storm of a different kind. Carmen was at her kitchen table, sipping tea like life was perfect, gold bangles jingling as she stirred her sugar. Sasha, sprawled on the couch, scrolled through her phone. Sasha groaned. "Same boring feed. Just this talent show nonsense. Some random girl blew up. Everyone's crying about her voice." Carmen shrugged, bored. "Every year they parade some sad child for pity votes. It's nothing new." But then the TV flickered, cutting to last night's broadcast. A girl on stage, the standing ovation. The voice that made a nation hold its breath. And then, her face. Maya. The name boomed through the room. "Give it up for the golden voice of Meriton. Maya!" Sasha's jaw dropped. Her phone slipped from her hand. "Mama, that's her!" Carmen froze. The teacup slipped, shattered, hot tea spilling everywhere. Her face went ghostly pale. No, it can't be. She was supposed to disappear. She was supposed to vanish. On screen, Maya smiled shyly, waving at the crowd, her voice echoing in the replay. Strong, beautiful, unforgettable. Sasha covered her mouth. "She's famous. Mama, she's a star." Carmen didn't answer. She just stared, frozen, her mind spinning. That rainy night replayed in her head, the moment she shoved Maya out like trash, thinking the city would finish her off. But instead of dying quietly, Maya had risen, and now the whole world loved her. Sasha whispered nervously, "What if people find out? What if they know what we did to her?" Carmen's fists clenched. "No one will know. We say nothing. She's gone. She's not our problem." But her voice shook. Even she didn't believe herself, because the truth always comes home. Already, neighbors were gathering around their own TVs, whispering, "Wasn't that Carmen's stepdaughter, the one she threw out?" Inside, Sasha stared at the screen. She didn't even look like the same girl. She looked happy. Carmen sat in silence, staring at the broken teacup. The spilled tea spread across the table like a river of regret. And on the screen, Maya's smile beamed, not from revenge, but from finally finding something no one could take away. Her voice, her story, her beginning. For weeks, the whole country had been buzzing about the girl with the voice that shuts up a room. Everyone had heard her sing, but now they wanted something else, her truth. Who was she really? Where did she come from? At Meriton National TV, the studio lights glared bright. The crowd was restless, waiting. Camera flashes popped like fireworks, producers barked orders through their headsets, and viewers at home leaned forward on their couches, bowls of popcorn forgotten. And then there she was. Maya. Not in glittering clothes or with some celebrity hairstylist fixing her edges, nope. She sat in a plain, clean dress, hands folded neatly in her lap like she was about to be scolded by a teacher. No designer heels, just a calm presence that somehow filled the entire stage. The host, Zara Collins, polished, stylish, and with that fake TV smile that never faltered, leaned forward. "Maya, your voice has captured the heart of millions, though, but many still don't know who you really are. Would you be willing to share your story?" Maya's fingers twitched slightly on her lap, but her voice came steady. "Yes." The audience hushed. Phones went down. Even the cameramen stopped chewing their gum. "I grew up in Grixton City," Maya began. "My mother, she passed away when I was little. She was my whole world, the only person who truly loved me." The studio stilled. "After she died, I lived with my stepmother, Carmen, and her daughter, Sasha. That's when life changed. I wasn't family anymore. I was invisible." The word invisible landed like a slap. Even Zara blinked hard. "I wore torn shoes, slept under the thinnest blanket, ate scraps if there were scraps left. I was told I was nothing, a mistake, a burden." Her voice cracked for a second, but she steadied it, staring at the floor. "And one night, in the pouring rain, they threw me out. No bag, no food, no goodbye." Gasps ripped through the audience. Someone even shouted, "What?" Zara's perfectly painted lashes fluttered. She leaned closer, whispering into her mic, "They threw you out?" Maya nodded slowly. "Yes, Carmen and Sasha shut the door and left me standing there like trash on the sidewalk." Back in Grixton, Carmen nearly spat her morning coffee all over Sasha's iPad as they watched the interview live. Carmen's face drained of colour, while Sasha muttered, "Oh my God, she's actually telling them." But Carmen cut her off, hissing, "Shut up. Nobody will believe her." But in the studio, every single person believed her. "I walked for hours that night," Maya continued. "I didn't even know where I was going. I ended up in Meriton City, starving, shivering, crying until I couldn't cry anymore. I thought that was the end." A pause, then a small smile. "But then came Uncle Benji." The audience tilted forward like a wave. "He's just a street food seller. He didn't ask questions. He didn't laugh at me. He gave me bread and a blanket. That was the first kindness I had felt in years." A cameraman sniffled. Someone in the audience wiped their tears with their sleeve. Zara herself was dabbing carefully at her makeup like her mascara bill would be paid back later. "And your voice?" Zara asked, voice trembling now. Maya smiled faintly. "My mother used to sing to me every night. When I was alone, I hummed her lullabies just to comfort myself. One day, someone heard me, and that's when everything changed." The studio was dead silent. Even the buzzing sound of the lights seemed to hush themselves. "I want people to know," Maya said, her voice stronger now, "that pain doesn't have to define you. Even when those who should love you throw you away, kindness from strangers can save your life." The audience shot to their feet. Applause thundered through the studio. Zara clapped too, forgetting for a second to act like the professional host. And across Meriton City, millions of viewers clutched their chests, cried into their tea, or tweeted furiously, "This girl isn't just a singer, she's a miracle." Maya's story equals goosebumps. Carmen and Sasha, whoever you are, may karma come with speed. Maya had gone viral again, but not just for her voice this time. Her truth was now the nation's new anthem. 2 weeks later, she was back in Grixton City, but this wasn't some tearful homecoming for revenge. Nope, She rolled into the city in a sleek black SUV with tinted windows, part of a convoy that stopped traffic. Bystanders pulled out their phones. "Wait, is that Maya? The Maya?" She stepped out in a soft, beautiful dress, curls bouncing, her smile warm. People gasped, pointed, whispered, "That's her, the girl they dumped like garbage. Look at her now." And guess who was watching from behind the lace curtains of a fancy townhouse? Carmen, face pale as flour, hands trembling so badly her teacup slipped and shattered. Sasha stood beside her, done up like she was auditioning for a reality show, whispering, "Mom, do you think she'll come here?" But Maya didn't even glance in their direction. She walked straight to the city square where a small stage had been set up. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice echoing through the mic. "Some of you remember me as that quiet girl in Carmen's house. Some of you saw me crying in the rain. Some of you looked away. That's okay. Today isn't about the past." She turned. Behind her, a huge cloth dropped, revealing a brand new building. Bright blue, shining glass doors, bold letters across the front. The crowd erupted. Children screamed her name. Adults clapped until their palms hurt. A little girl in a tattered dress rushed forward, hugging Maya's leg. "Will you teach us to sing?" Maya knelt, smiling. "Yes, baby, I'll teach you everything I know." Carmen sank onto her doorstep, trembling. She wanted to hate Maya, but instead shame clawed at her chest. Sasha waved weakly, whispering, "Hi, Maya," but Maya didn't even blink in her direction. Not out of hatred, just indifference. She had outgrown them. That night, Maya's first official concert lit up Meriton's largest stadium. A banner stretched across the stage, to every forgotten child who was told they don't matter. The lights dimmed. The crowd roared, and Maya's voice rose, soft, strong, aching, healing. She sang her mother's lullaby first. Thousands wept, not because of the song, but because they felt it. She paused mid-concert, scanning the crowd. "When I was thrown out on the street, I thought my life was over, but the silence gave me something else, a voice. Tonight I sing for every child who has ever felt invisible. You are not forgotten." The stadium thundered with applause. In the front row, Uncle Benji stood with tears running down his cheeks. Maya pointed at him. "You saved me before the world knew my name." The crowd clapped harder, some chanting his name too. And in a shadowed corner, Carmen sat stiff, Sasha beside her. No makeup, no curtain this time. Just two women forced to watch the orphan they discarded become the city's greatest treasure. When Maya closed the night with her song Rise Again, the entire stadium lit up with golden lights and fireworks. On the giant screen above her, bold letters appeared. Maya, the soul of Meriton. The city roared. People chanted her name. Social media went into meltdown. And for the first time, Maya wasn't just surviving. She was shining. The world wasn't watching with pity anymore. Nope. Those days were long gone. Now every eye was locked on Maya, not as the poor girl who once begged for leftovers, but as the woman whose voice had become the heartbeat of a continent. Far away in Grixton City, inside a cramped apartment with cracked walls and a permanently flickering bulb, Carmen sat on a worn couch, remote clutched so tightly her knuckles turned white. The old TV screen flickered with Maya's face. Her daughter Sasha sat beside her, arms crossed, face stiff. Both women looked like someone had slapped them with reality. The girl they once tossed out like rotten food? Yeah. She wasn't just surviving. She was shining so brightly the whole city couldn't stop talking. Regret filled that living room thicker than cigarette smoke. Carmen's lips twitched, but no words came out. How could they? What excuse do you give for telling someone they were worthless, only to watch the world crown them priceless? She had failed at the one job she had, motherhood. Sasha, meanwhile, was choking on envy. Every billboard in Meriton City had Maya's name glowing in gold. Every station was replaying her interview. Every headline was screaming about her rise. The same Maya who once slept on wet cardboard outside a shop now had paparazzi running after her. And Sasha? She was still sitting in Grixton, eating noodles out of a cracked plate. Life has jokes, my people. One night, as another interview of Maya aired, Sasha snapped. She threw the remote onto the couch and spat, "This is ridiculous. That should have been me. I could have been famous too, if life had given me just one chance." Carmen looked at her daughter and sighed. Life gave you everything. A roof, food, clothes. You had birthday cakes, parties, new shoes. Maya had nothing but pain, and still. Her voice trailed off, bitter. Sasha's eyes narrowed. She didn't want truth. Truth tasted sour. What she wanted was attention, the same kind Maya was drowning in. The very next day, Sasha dug up her dusty social media accounts and posted a carefully staged childhood photo of her and Maya. She captioned it, "Proud of my sister, Maya. She's always been a star, even when nobody noticed. I'm with you, sis. Always." The internet, of course, fell for it. "Wow, such a supportive sister. She's lucky to have you. This is the kind of love we need in the world." Supportive sister, my foot. Sasha wasn't clapping for Maya. She was clapping for herself. She basked in the comments like it was oxygen. For the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. But that wasn't enough. Oh no. She wanted cameras. She wanted microphones. She wanted headlines that said, "Long-lost sister reunites with Maya." So she reached out to one of Maya's team members, dripping honey with every word. "I just want to surprise her. I want to be part of her healing. We're family after all. Family. Imagine. The audacity." The team member, touched, agreed to help. And so, at Maya's next private event in Meriton City, Sasha appeared. She wore a pale-coloured dress that screamed, "Notice me," and carried flowers big enough to block someone's view. The cameras loved it. The reporters went wild. And when Maya stepped into the room and saw Sasha standing there with a trembling smile, she froze. The crowd clapped. The flashes went off. Sasha leaned in with her best fake cry face, hugged Maya dramatically, and whispered, "I've missed you, sister." Maya hugged her back politely, but inside, she knew. Oh, she knew. Those weren't tears of love. They were tears rehearsed in front of a mirror. All night, Sasha stuck close. Too close. She laughed too loud at every joke, answered questions meant for Maya, and made sure she was in every shot. One journalist even asked her, "Do you sing too, Sasha?" Her eyes lit up. "Well, we both grew up with music. Who knows? Maybe the world will hear from me soon." The arrogance, the absolute nerve. Later that night, back in her quiet apartment in Meriton, Maya sat in front of her mirror, wiping her makeup off. The applause was still ringing in her ears, but so was something else, the hollow emptiness in Sasha's eyes. She whispered to herself, "Some people don't come back because they miss you. They come back because they miss the spotlight." She didn't confront Sasha. Not yet. Maya had learned the hard way. Fake love always exposes itself eventually. All you have to do is wait. But then something happened. Something Maya never expected. One afternoon, while cleaning up her tiny apartment, she found her old ragged cloth bag in the corner, the same bag she carried the night Carmen threw her out in the rain. She hadn't touched it in years. She unzipped it, pulling out scraps of her past, broken hairpins, a torn scarf, an old photo of her father. Then her fingers brushed against something hidden in the inner pocket, a small envelope. Dusty, fragile. Her name was written across it in neat flowing handwriting. Maya. Her chest tightened. She didn't remember putting it there. With shaking hands, she opened it. The first line punched her in the gut. "My sweet daughter, if you are reading this, I am no longer with you in this world." Maya's vision blurred with tears instantly. Her mother. The mother Carmen never talked about. The mother she missed dearly. She read on, her heart breaking and all at once. "I had hoped to watch you grow, to sing with you, to hold you during storms, but life's cruel sometimes. So I leave you these words, my voice on paper, to carry you when mine is gone." Her hands trembled as she whispered the next line aloud. "You were born for greatness, Maya. Your voice is not just a gift. It is your sword, your shield, your fire. When people try to silence you, sing louder. When the world turns cold, wrap yourself in the warmth of your dreams." Tears spilled freely now, but they weren't weak tears. They were powerful, cleansing. Her mother had seen her long before the world did. Her mother had believed in her. Maya pressed the letter to her chest, rocking slowly, whispering, "Thank you, Mama. I hear you." She framed the letter in gold and placed it beside her bed. Every morning after, it was the first thing she saw, and every night the last. Her voice wasn't just hers anymore. It was her mother's. It was every broken girl's, and it was unstoppable. Every morning, Maya would open her drawer, take out that folded note, and read just one line from it. Not a long motivational speech, not a Bible verse, just one simple line written by the only person who ever saw her light before the world did. That note kept her sane, especially now that she was famous. Cameras flashing, fans screaming, reporters digging into her past like archaeologists looking for lost treasure. Everyone wanted to know, Who really is Maya, the voice of Meriton? One evening during a live interview, the host leaned forward and asked with a teasing smile, "Maya, with all this fame, money and pressure, how do you stay so calm, so real?" Maya smiled softly, the kind of smile that says, "You have no idea what I've been through." "A letter," she said, "from someone who saw my light long before the world ever cared." The audience clapped. They thought it was poetic. But for Maya, it was personal. That night, she went home, stared at that note, and posted it online with the caption, "My mother wasn't there to groom me, but somehow her words found me when I needed them most. For anyone out there feeling lost, your light is still inside you." Within hours, boom, it went viral. Comments flooded in like a storm. "I cried reading this. This touched my soul. Thank you, Maya. I feel seen." Young girls across Meriton City shared it, printed it, and quoted it. The phrase, "Never let darkness dim your light," became a trend. People printed it on t-shirts, posters, wallpapers. It wasn't just a quote anymore. It was a movement. Maya sat quietly in her tiny Meriton apartment, scrolling through thousands of comments. Her chest tightened with emotion. For once, she didn't feel like the poor orphan from Grixton City. She felt like her mother's daughter. She placed her hand over her heart and whispered, "I won't let you down, I promise." But that single post, that innocent, emotional post, lit a fire Maya didn't see coming. By the next morning, social media was chaos. An old woman from Grixton City, Madame Eloise, a retired nurse and once neighbour of Carmen, reposted Maya's note and added her own spicy caption. "Oh, I knew that girl before the fame. Her stepmother, Carmen? That woman treated Maya like garbage, used her as a maid while her own daughter, Sasha, painted her nails and called Maya Cinderella without the prince." People didn't believe it at first. Some said this must be fake news. Until photos surfaced, old dusty pictures from Grixton. Maya's father smiling kindly beside Carmen, and right there in the corner, a tiny barefoot Maya sweeping the marble floor while Sasha posed with a cake. The internet gasped. Receipts were out. Madame Eloise posted again. "I kept quiet all these years, but no more. That girl suffered. Carmen beat her, starved her, called her names, and now she acts like she raised an angel." Hours, Grixton was trending. Reporters began swarming the city, interviewing old neighbours. One man said he used to sneak Maya leftover bread when she hadn't eaten in 2 days. Another revealed that Carmen once locked Maya out for coming home late from school, even though she was late because she had to walk. People online were furious. How can a woman treat a child like that? Now we understand where all Maya's pain comes from. Meanwhile, in Carmen's penthouse, life turned into a nightmare. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, thousands of hate messages. "We know what you did, gold digger. You ruined that child. Shame on you, Carmen." Carmen turned on her TV and nearly choked on her coffee. Her face was on the news. Not as the glamorous former wife of late businessman Mr. Lewis, but a wicked stepmother of Grixton City. Her daughter, Sasha, panicked. "Mom, they're calling us monsters." "What do we do?" Carmen froze. For once, her mouth, that sharp, commanding mouth, had no words. The truth she buried had finally dug itself out, and this time, the internet was the shovel. While Carmen was busy drowning in scandal, Maya said nothing. No posts, no tweets, no interviews, just silence. And that silence, oh, it screamed louder than any revenge speech. When a reporter later asked her during a live show, "Maya, do you have any message for those who hurt you?" She smiled faintly and replied, "Everything I needed to say, I already said in my song." Mic drop. That one sentence melted millions of hearts. While Carmen's name sank, Maya's rose higher than ever, not from hate, but from truth. And then, karma knocked again, this time for Sasha. Sasha had always been jealous. Let's be honest, she couldn't stand seeing Maya's face on billboards while hers was still buried in Grixton gossip groups. Every time Maya appeared on Zara Collins' Merit National TV show, Sasha's blood pressure rose. "How dare she?" she muttered one night. "That's supposed to be my life." So one night, fueled by envy and cheap wine, she sneaked into Maya's old room. Yes, the tiny one that used to double as a laundry store. There, she found a dusty notebook filled with lyrics and melodies. On the first page, Maya had written, "When the world turns its back on you, let your voice become your sunrise." Sasha smirked. "Cute. Let's see how this song looks on me." She tore out the page and stuffed it in her purse. A few days later, she signed up for Star Voices, the next big thing, a singing competition hosted in downtown Grixton. She registered with a fake name, Serene Blake. Because apparently stealing songs wasn't bold enough, she had to steal an identity too. She rehearsed Maya's lyrics like a parrot and strutted on stage wearing a glittery gown, acting like Beyoncé on a budget. But when she opened her mouth, oh boy, the audience knew something was off. The voice was fine, but it had no soul. It was like singing from an empty chest. One of the judges, a fierce music producer named Tiana Gray, leaned forward. "That song, where did you get it?" Sasha blinked fast. I wrote it." Tiana narrowed her eyes. "Really? Because I've heard this song before. Maya performed this during a sound check last season. And newsflash, you're not her." The room went silent. Then gasps, cameras zoomed in. A staff member quickly pulled up a clip of Maya humming that same song during an old interview. Busted. By the next morning, headlines screamed, "Sasha exposed the great song theft. Carmen's daughter humiliates family again." The internet renamed her Copycat Sasha. Memes flew everywhere. People made remix videos of her failed audition. Carmen tried to call a press conference, but no one cared to listen anymore. As for Maya, she didn't say a word. Just posted a clip of herself singing the real song with the caption, "Truth doesn't need to shout, it sings." That post alone got more likes than Sasha ever dreamed of. Weeks later, an email arrived for Maya while she was sipping tea near her window. She almost thought it was spam. The subject line read, "World Tour Offer, from Africa to the World." A top music agent, Marcus Okoro, had seen her story. He wanted her on a 12-country world tour, from Lagos to London, Cape Town to New York. Her manager jumped with excitement. "Maya, this is your big break. Say yes." But Maya didn't answer right away. She looked out the window, at the same Meriton streets she once begged on. She thought of Uncle Benji, the food seller who gave her free bread when she was hungry. Of Zara Collins, who first invited her to TV when no one knew her name. Of all those nights she sang to herself just to stay sane. She finally said quietly, "If I chase the lights and forget where I came from, what's the point?" Her team didn't get it. They saw fame. Maya saw meaning. That voice the world loved. It wasn't born in a studio. It was born in struggle. Later that night, Maya took a walk through downtown Meriton. A little girl selling roses looked up and gasped, "You're the singing lady from TV." Maya knelt beside her and smiled. "Yes, but I used to be like you." The girl handed her a rose and said, "Then maybe I'll be like you someday." That simple moment, louder than any applause. Maya held the flower, looked up at the city lights and whispered, "I'll go, but I'll never leave." Because fame might take her around the world, but her heart, it will always belong to the streets of Meriton, where she first learned to sing from pain and turn it into light. And months later, the Maya Center for Voice and Light was launched. Inside the courtyard, children ran around laughing, holding paper microphones made from old cartons. Some had no shoes, some had no parents, but all of them had voices, bright and eager, ready to be heard. Maya stood quietly at the center, dressed in a simple dress that caught the light. Reporters surrounded her, holding out microphones. But when she finally spoke, her voice wasn't the trembling whisper of a scared orphan. It was calm, grounded, and powerful. "No child should ever cry themselves to sleep feeling unheard," she said softly. "That's why I built this place, not just to train singers, but to help voices rise again." The crowd went still. You could feel the weight in her words. See, this wasn't just about music. This was about rebirth. Maya had once begged for food at street corners. She'd spent nights under bridges, humming songs to stop her tears. But one day, a kind food seller, Uncle Benji, had shared his jollof and told her, "You've got a voice, girl. Don't let hunger silence it." That moment changed everything. Now she was paying that kindness forward. Her academy had everything. Studios with sleek microphones, classes funded by artists from across Africa, and walls decorated with art made by street kids. But the best part? A small stage called the Brave Spot, where children could sing their truth without fear of judgment. The opening ceremony was massive. City officials came, reporters from Meriton National TV filled the space, and Zara Collins, the famous anchor, was covering the event live. The crowd clapped and cheered, flashing cameras, waving banners that read, "We love Maya." And guess what? Among that crowd, A certain face appeared. Dressed in a cheap grey scarf and oversized sunglasses, Carmen, Maya's stepmother, stood trembling behind the people. The same woman who once kicked her out of her home in Grixton like expired bread was now struggling to hide her face from the cameras. Oh, how the mighty tumble! She had a small gift box in her hand, wrapped in silver paper, and that dramatic pity-me look she always wore when her plans failed. Maya noticed her. For a second, her breath caught. Memories rushed back, the slap, the shouting, the night she slept beside the gutter. But then she smiled faintly. She wasn't that broken girl anymore. Carmen slowly walked up toward the stage, her fake tears already glistening. "Maya, my daughter," she said in a shaky voice that tried too hard. "I made mistakes. Please forgive me. I brought you a gift." Ah, yes. The famous forgive me speech. Every toxic person's favorite script when their victim starts shining. The audience went silent. Even the wind stopped moving. Maya stared at Carmen, not with hate, but with something far more powerful. Peace. She gently took the microphone and said, "You threw me out into the streets, Carmen. You told me I was nothing. You took away my safety, my childhood. But you couldn't take away my voice." Carmen tried to interrupt, but Maya lifted her hand. "I'm not here to embarrass you," she continued. "I'm here to show the world that pain can become purpose, that being broken doesn't mean being finished. And yes, I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean walking back into the fire." For a moment, the whole city went quiet. Then the applause began, slow, steady, building like thunder. People stood. They clapped not just for Maya's success, but for her strength, for that rare grace that only the deeply wounded can show. Carmen froze. Her fake tears vanished. The cameras caught every second, her trembling lips, her confused eyes. She dropped the gift box and walked away slowly, swallowed by the crowd. Maya didn't look back. She turned to the audience with a calm smile. "This center is for every forgotten voice," she said. "But we don't forget who we are, and we never let pain silence us again." The crowd roared. Flashlights went off. Kids started singing. That night, under the city lights, Maya stood on the academy's rooftop and sang a song. One she had written long ago while hiding under a bus stop in Meryton. It was called "Daughter of the Storm." It began quietly, with the sound of gentle rain. Then her voice rose, raw and beautiful, telling the story of every abandoned child, every ignored dream, every soul who was told you're nothing. When she uploaded the song online that night, she didn't expect what followed. Within an hour, it hit 1 million views. People stopped what they were doing. Some cried, some smiled, some whispered, "Finally, someone understands." By morning, it was everywhere. TV stations, radio playlists, billboards. Even Zara Collins invited Maya to Meryton National TV for an interview. Maya only said one thing: "This song doesn't belong to me. It belongs to anyone who has ever felt invisible." Schools began playing it at morning assemblies. Office workers listened to it during breaks. Choirs sang it at charity events. And yes, even Grixton City, the place that once spat her out, couldn't escape it. From car radios to street corners, "Daughter of the Storm" followed Carmen everywhere she went. Not as revenge, but as a reminder: you can't silence destiny. Months later, Maya opened her inbox to find photos, children across cities holding signs that read, "We are the voices." Girls who once hid their dreams were now performing. Shelters were offered. Donations poured in. One afternoon, from her glass office at the academy, Maya spotted a little girl singing alone by the gate. Her voice cracked a little, but it was filled with courage. Maya stepped outside and knelt beside her. "What's your name?" she asked. "Leah," the girl whispered shyly. "Do you know why I wrote that song?" Maya smiled. Leah nodded. "Because storms don't drown you. They teach you how to dance in the rain." Maya's eyes glistened. She hugged the girl tightly. Cameras clicked, and that photo became the cover of the Voice and Light Foundation charity for girls' dreams. Soon after, a documentary hit every major streaming platform, The Year When Karma Comes with Cameras. It began with Maya, homeless, soaked, singing under a city bridge, and ended with her standing tall in gold on an international stage. And somewhere in a dark apartment in Grixton, Carmen sat alone, watching, her reflection flickering in the TV screen. No fancy clothes, no audience, just silence and regret. The final frame read, "This is what happens when a voice refuses to be silenced." And that night, As the city lights blinked and the music played, the world didn't hear Maya's story. It felt it. Because Maya wasn't just a survivor. She was proof that even in the noisiest city, a single brave voice can still change the world. Hello, my beloved viewers. If Maya's story touched your heart, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button, drop a comment in your own language, and tell me how you felt when Carmen tried to play innocent Tenadine. And if you believe every homeless child deserves a voice, type love emoji in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next emotional and shocking twist story. I love you all, my besties. See you in the next one.